So we are at the YOLO Ranch, which is the site of the first race of the 2018-19 season. And we're here with the TRS Trail Riders Southern Arizona Club.
It's pretty much go time here, at least time to go get lined up. And I'm a little nervous, not gonna lie.
This happens every year. We get up to the start and I gotta pee. I hope this ain't a long one.
You don't have to start in order. If you want to take a leak, you can take a leak.
I think if I hold it, it'll make me go faster. But I didn't want to go like 20.
Or you're going to hit a bump and you're going to shark or
I hope not. 5, 4, 3, 2.
To ensure you don't miss a single episode, subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell icon to receive a notification whenever a new video comes out. For the more serious rock stars out there, you can support the channel through my website at www.joerockstar.com. There you will find links to help keep the channel running via PayPal, Patreon, or purchasing Joe Rockstar gear like hats and t-shirts.
Off-season blues. It's a thing. When most of the country is winterizing their bikes and putting on a few extra pounds, Arizona is in the middle of its prime riding season. Every year, around November, Arizona's social media junkies litter the internet with jokes that make fun of the rest of the country's weather challenges, while we enjoy moderate temperatures and great riding weather. It's almost as if the riding is perfect year-round here, but the reality is that Arizona has an off-season, and it runs from June to September. Summer in Arizona is deceiving. The weather looks okay to ride in until you put that gear on and you realize the temperature is hot enough to melt your kickstand into the asphalt of your driveway. Yes, summer is our off-season, but it's still better than most of the country. Because if you're dressed and ready to ride before the sunrise, you can at least get a little seat time in before the heat becomes dangerous. But this is a problem for me because I don't live near the prime riding spots. So for me, summer rides require a serious commitment. Basically, waking up after 3 a.m. means I overslept and I wasted a day and I won't be riding. Trying to get to bed on a Friday or Saturday night early enough to make a 3 a.m. wake up reasonable really doesn't go over well when you'd like to spend time with your wife after a week of long, late office hours and not much time together. So for the most part, if I get up in time to ride and I actually go, I'm usually doing it on only a few hours of sleep. Not ideal conditions for such a physically demanding sport. What happens more often than not is that I oversleep and I miss opportunities to ride weekend after weekend. This off-season, I missed a lot of rides. I got sidetracked by other projects. Take the 2-stroke versus 4-stroke project, for instance. It became much more complicated with the hot weather limiting my riding and all the maintenance woes I was having. Another self-inflicted distraction came with the idea to convert a cargo trailer into a poor man's toy hauler. This may sound like a great idea, but it took me a lot of time to find an affordable trailer. And once I realized how much additional work that converting it will add to my already exhausted schedule, and that I'm the only employee that I have, well, it's kind of depressing actually. Then there are all of those unexpected things that life throws you. And normally I would agree with those of you who say, "Suck it up, Buttercup." I mean, I like to keep a positive attitude usually, but something was different these past few months. Through it all, I started to get overwhelmed and I started falling behind. I fell behind on my work, on videos, on exercise, on dieting. Eventually, I started to lose all motivation. I gained 30 pounds and before I knew it, the season was just a few weeks away. It wasn't all bad though. With the 2-stroke versus 4-stroke debate, I got a couple of more suitable bikes for this kind of racing in the Husqvarna FX350 and the KTM 300XC. As a result of riding more suitable bikes, I immediately got faster. And recently, I spent a morning getting some professional training from Ryan Wells. I'm riding faster and better than ever, but my physical and mental game needs a little work. I'm out of shape, and I've been suffering from motivational exhaustion, or what most of us would call burnout. But this wouldn't be a good time to feel sorry for myself or back down from a challenge. Surprisingly, once this race started, I felt that fire of determination and motivation that had been missing for months, and I was getting into the zone and felt like nothing could slow me down.
That hurt. Good to go. Get, go. Oh no. I don't have a left peg. I'm out. God dang it. I can't put my foot down. The whole frame's broke. Okay, so I stopped, obviously, because the bike's broken and I can't stand up on the pegs, and I can't ride through this nasty stuff without being able to stand up on my pegs and not slow down everybody behind me. So I'm basically waiting until the last rider goes by and sweep riders come up, and I'm gonna try and clear out of here before the next rows start coming through here. So basically my race is over and I don't want to screw anybody else's over, so I'm gonna wait here. I'm out the trail, there's room to get around me, and that's that. It's really disappointing because I was moving pretty good through there. The rocks weren't really giving me any problems. I just took a bad line there, hit that one rock, and even that wasn't bad. I got back up. I could have got going pretty fast, but I went to put my feet down on the pegs and they were gone. The left peg was gone. But yeah, it's really disappointing. And right now it's really hard not to let all that stress get to me, because it's extremely stressful thinking about it. But I was riding well up until that point. I mean, even that crash wasn't bad. I mean, I crashed worse than this. Just bad luck. No, I love that kid. That's the Craig Hill kid from the Supercross. Or, I'm sorry, Enduro Cross. Went out there and raced Enduro Cross. Tough little guy. Well, I can't put my feet on it, so I only got 1 foot.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
There's racers back there, though?
No, these are
Okay.
Once we got going, I felt really good. I felt really good. I was moving pretty quick, the bike was performing well, and then disaster struck. Unless this has happened to you in the past, I can't even explain to you how extremely disappointing and devastating it is to have a mechanical problem that takes you out of the race. I mean, at least it took me out early before I, put in 30-something miles.
Oh my God, it's hard to fight the urge to put my foot on this peg. All I can think about is all the times I told people that don't sit down and ride, because this is one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do, ass ride through this technically horrible section. So basically all of my weight has to be on the seat. And my left foot can't put on a peg, so it's just kind of dangling. It's throwing my center of gravity off a little bit.
This course is really technical, rocky in a lot of sections, and you just can't do that sitting down very well.
And I can't help but want to ride fast with one foot on the bike. Oh, this would have been so fun if I didn't crash. If I didn't break my bike, I think this would have this is part of the best part of the track so far. I would be shredding this if I had both feet on.
And I know there's those of you who are going to say, it's the bike, I don't know, the branded bike or whatever, or maybe it's the model or the make or whatever it is that floats your boat and makes you feel better about whatever you bought, strokes your ego. And if I sound a little defensive, it's because I'm really upset about this, and the last thing I want is to hear people dig at me for the brand of bike that I have. I think it's just a freak accident, just bad luck. I could crash like that 100 times and maybe not duplicate this once.
I guess this shouldn't be a whole lot different than my first race. I think I sat down the whole way that time. The only problem is I didn't have to keep my foot in the air. My left foot floating. You know what I'm thinking right now? I should have peed before the start. Woo! I need to go back because I broke my bike.
Okay.
On my way back, I stopped by a couple of the vendor tents, TBT Racing, AEO Power Sports. Talked to those guys, and I got to tell you, my stomach was hurting. It was killing me, the thought that I would have to spend, almost $1,000 probably to replace the frame on this bike. And they kind of let me down, or let me off a little bit easy, let me know that this can be welded, it can be fixed, probably not going to need a new frame. I'm sure it's going to be expensive, but definitely not having to replace the entire frame.
Oh, I didn't finish.
It's okay. It's an Enduro. You finish it, no matter how far you go, you're always a finisher as long as you make it to the out of the first special.
Oh, so I don't get a DNF?
You'll get the scoring up to that point, and that's it.
That's it, right?
While I was there, and the guys from AEO Power Sports and TBT Racing were there talking to me about this, Ryan Kudla, who's going to be in the ISD for this year, had a problem with his bike. His shifter was broken, and since we both ride, he's got the KTM 350, the shifter's interchangeable. I went ahead and tried to be a good sport, and since I'm out of the race, to donate, my part to somebody who's still in it. So I gave Ryan my shifter. Right now I've got his broken shifter on there just so I could get the bike limped over here to the truck and get things loaded up.
Just glad I could help, man.
This isn't how you want to start a season, not at all.
So the Husqvarna FX 350 is out of the picture for a little while, but that's not the end of the season, and it looks like the 300XC is going to get a second chance in the two-stroke versus four-stroke debate. Actually having this situation happen is kind of good for the two-stroke versus four-stroke debate. Not necessarily good for me, but definitely good for the debate, because when you think about it, as soon as I realized I'm going to be riding this 300 in a race, I quickly started thinking like, okay, I'm going to replace the tires, I need to get the suspension dialed in, and I need to get out there and get some practice on it. So if I'm going to race this bike, I've got to change these wheels. All right, so I'm going to take the Husky's wheels off. I'm going to put them on this bike, only because the bib moose, I don't like them. I like the tubeless setup that I have on the Husky, so I'm not going to take the tubeless out of the Husky, of course, and I'm not going to go spend the money to order tubeless for this bike. So I'm just going to take the wheels off the Husky and put them on this, and that'll give me decently new tires with tubeless setup on the 300. And on top of all of that, I also have to get the carburetor to stop leaking because I can't have the fuel running out in the middle of a race. All right, so we got some good news concerning the two-stroke. I got the fuel leak stopped. It just needed a new float valve needle and float valve seat. Once I replaced those, no problems with leaking.
But we do have a problem. Before I started working on it, I couldn't get it to start, and I still can't get it to start now that I've fixed the leak. Again, I know this bike runs. I don't know why it stopped running. Nothing has changed, so we'll have to figure this out, and I've got to figure it out quickly. Okay, so it's a little frustrating, to say the least, the problems that I have with this bike. And I'm trying to keep a positive attitude, but man, I'm really getting frustrated. So there's the logic side of me that understands how this works, okay? There has to be air, there has to be fuel, and there has to be a spark. I know for sure that the spark plug is working. I've checked it, pulled it out, grounded it, watched the little blue spark arc across, so we're good there. I know that fuel is getting into the float bowl, but I don't know if it's getting past the float bowl. The bike was sitting in the trailer for 2 weeks, and it's pretty hot, and the fuel had all leaked out of it. This might be voodoo medicine, but somebody I know said they had the same problem, and they flipped the bike over upside down, cranked it over, and let all the fuel that was in the crankcase drain out. And then it started right up after that. So I'm gonna go ahead and try it. Why not, right? Looks like it's empty. I'll let it down now. Nice and easy. So, this probably seems crazy for me. Let's take a look at what's coming out of this thing. So all of that came out. It doesn't look good, but it wasn't as much as I was hoping. But hopefully, that solved the problem. That's gonna get me in trouble with the wife. Oh my God, I'm gonna be in so much trouble. Whoa, here we come.